All right, next we're going to work on this problem involving population density, and that simply means the number of people per square mile. So sometimes if I feel confused about problems that have such large numbers, I like to take a moment to stop and think about how this would work with really small numbers. So let's say I had land, so this is just an aside. Let's say I had land that was 50 square miles, and I had 100 people. Basically, what would end up happening is I could fit 2 people on each square mile. What I did to figure that out, for me, I just knew that by looking at the problem. So then I take a step back and say, okay, if I had to do this mathematically, I would actually take the people and divide them by the square mile. Maybe you don't need to do that, but I usually have to take a step back and figure that out for myself. Okay, so now that I know that I'm dividing the people by the square miles, for 2014, the population is actually going to be the number that they started with in 2010, but 5.8% bigger. So because I like to decrease the number of steps I have to do, some of you might actually find out what 5.8% of this large number is and then add it back to that large number. But I would prefer to just take that number, so it's 18,801,310, and just multiply it by 1.058. Now don't forget to convert from a percent to a decimal. You're going to have to move that decimal point 2 times over to the left. I like to put that 1 in there. That way I don't have to go back and add anything. That kind of already adds it up for me. To divide that number by the amount of square miles that you had, 53625, that's the square miles. And after you go ahead and divide those using a calculator, you should get about 371. It says to the nearest whole number, so I think I got 370 point, a high number. So next I have to figure out how much the population density increased. So then I went back and found what the answer would have been if I had just done this in 2010. The population was 18,801,310. I divided that by 53625. It gave me about 351. So then the difference, because I'm going to have to subtract them, so for part B, you're going to do 371 minus 351, and it actually increased by about 20 people per square mile. So 371 and 20.